Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in. Posted a couple videos recently about this stupid GPS tracker, and I'm going to show you guys where to look for it and how to pull it out of your car and why I think you guys should do it immediately. Take a look for these things and also talk about why you may not want to. But back with another video a day until this channel hits 100K. I want to say welcome to all of the new subscribers. I really appreciate you guys. Real quick, I've seen a lot of comments and I want to kind of address a few things. First and foremost, this was not put on my truck because I took out some terrible loan where they are tracking me in case I don't make my payments. But if you find a GPS tracker on your vehicle, check your loan. It might be a requirement. You probably would know about it if it was. But again, if you pull something off like this and it is a requirement for your loan, you might get a phone call. But if this kind of device, this one again is from IKON Technologies, there's other products like LoJack, things like that, but what I did not like about this IKON Technologies GPS tracker, and you can watch the video I posted yesterday where I get into depth about that whole thing.
If it doesn't benefit our dealer directly, we're not interested in doing it.
OEMs are getting into this connected app technology, but they're basically stealing that data. The dealer...
Oh, they're stealing it.
They're taking the customers' names and addresses. Oh, that customer should stay for the dealers. Why should you as a dealer promote OnStar or FordPass or any other third party to steal that data away from you? Why shouldn't that data remain to the dealer themselves?
I would recommend you pull this out of your truck or car immediately because it's absurd. Now, this is not local to Phoenix. They themselves say that they're under like 500 roofs of other dealerships, so a good chance. I recommend you go out, take a look at the OBD-II port. I'm going to show you guys where to look for these things. I want to reiterate that yes, these can be parts of loans. I do know some lenders will actually do this with like power sports equipment, possibly motorcycles. I've heard of that as well. I don't think that if you're getting a loan from a reputable bank for an actual auto loan and you have remotely decent credit that you would ever have a GPS tracker being a component of that. Maybe if you're going into the used car market, or if you're buying your car and let's just say it's a 2004 Chevy Malibu, but you're paying $350 every 2 weeks for that vehicle for the next 4 years, you probably have one of these and you probably shouldn't mess with it because they'll come take your car, which in that case may not be the worst thing for you. But let's go ahead and talk about where it is you might find these things. Now this one that I pulled off of my truck was plugged in directly to the OBD-II port. This is where you're going to want to look for this kind of nonsense. This device was plugged in right here at this OBD-II port. This is an accessory that I have on my truck. This is for the power running boards. This is totally normal, but you should see down here, if you buy a new vehicle, just a port kind of chilling like this. Now, what you need to look out for, and the really sinister part of these kinds of things, is that they are designed to plug in here and look as if nothing is there. And then what they do is they run this kind of device, this little box, and they tuck it up somewhere, wherever it can't be seen, back up in here. You also might want to pull off a plastic piece here if you're not sure, and just look for any negative space that they can throw something like this, because that's kind of where you're typically going to find it. Now, luckily, these kinds of devices are really kind of a super lazy way for these dealerships to just make a bunch more money. So the people who are really installing these probably aren't going through a whole lot of great lengths to make sure they're hidden. They're just trying to make sure it's there so that they can charge you that $600 for a stupid device you don't need, and probably just kind of tossing it up somewhere. You might find it zip tied. But if they are trying to do this even more legitimate, what you really have to watch out for is they actually have some OBD-II port relocating kits where they will actually unscrew the OEM OBD-II port and screw in a new one and move this one back out further away where you may not actually notice it, and it can actually be really hidden in a very, very clever way. So you're looking for something that resembles a box like this, and you just want to remove that. Now, the other thing I'll show you is that this device in general, and a lot of other ones as well, they will also mount them near the battery. So you can find, and you'll see, if you see a wire like, I don't know, something like this that's kind of hanging around, this is actually an antenna for another accessory. You want to kind of look and see on these ports, and if you have a piece of plastic like this, you can pull it up And what you're looking for is something like this. Again, this is an accessory that I have on the truck, so that power is something that I put there. But you should never really see wires like this just coming directly off of terminals, because OEMs don't really tend to do that. If you see that, have somebody that you know take a look and see if anything weird is kind of like off a terminal. I've got another one here for another accessory. That's the kind of stuff that you're looking for. These are fuses for the power steps on my truck. You should see a relatively clean bay here. Another thing you'll see is another on the negative terminal, which is the ground. And then they'll just take this little box here and again, zip tie it to something, usually kind of lazily. They're not gonna go through huge lengths to hide it typically. Now another place that you can look is in your fuse panel. I can't imagine they would install one here, but just in case they try to get clever in different ways. So this is an add a fuse, and it basically taps in, pulls power from your existing fuse box. I have one for some accessories. I'm gonna actually do a whole switch panel install here soon for all the accessory stuff I have going on. Stay tuned for that. And then they ground it to the nearest kind of stud here, and then the power would run, and then the box might be tucked up somewhere else underneath the panel or behind a glove box, which is also a clever place to hide some things, is up behind the glove box. So you can also check there as well. So not only check your vehicles, I recommend that you check your loved ones' vehicles, or maybe send them this video and have them check their own vehicles, and really question any of these kinds of devices that you're finding. Because yes, I've seen people comment saying, well, the OEMs are also getting access to your data, and who knows what they're doing with it. Sure, we can have that conversation, but I know there's zero part of me that wants to have a third party doing the same thing that really provides me no benefit. If the OEMs have a solution for the theft recovery systems and all that, I'd rather use theirs. If you find a device like this and you are not the one that is tracking it, well then who might be? And that's terrifying to me. I have no desire to know who might be, not just in the third-party data selling world, but also some creep in your town theoretically could be tracking where your vehicle is, and that is absolutely terrifying. I did see a comment from somebody else who said that they found one on their Jeep, I believe, from a company named Spireon. I don't know anything about them. I think they might be part of LoJack. I don't know. LoJack is more of a name brand, and I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that LoJack does not do a dealer business model where like their whole system exists, because as this company IKON said, if it's not good for the dealership, they're not interested. And that makes me as a consumer even less interested, because I don't trust any dealer. If you find your dealer doing this kind of stuff and you pull a GPS tracker off that they put on to benefit them, will you go back? I won't. And I don't really care to allow the dealership, poor dealership, to have access to my data post-sale for their benefit. So I recommend you look out for these things, and if you have one on your vehicle and you are getting no benefit to it, yank it off. But also take a look around, because they can get a little crafty with how these things are hidden. They can really tuck them up there pretty good. I don't think they even care if you find it, really. I think their goal is more or less to get you to pay for a piece of hardware that you don't really need. And then once you leave, I don't think they care what happens afterwards. Now, I did get a comment from a guy who said that his buddy found one, pulled it off his vehicle, and then the dealership called him like shortly thereafter to say, hey, can you give us that device back? In my opinion, it's like a freebie for them, where they're getting an entire lot management software solution for free. You're paying for it, and that's how ridiculous they are. I don't know, maybe if they were only charging $80 post-sale to have you cover the cost of this piece of equipment, people probably wouldn't care all that much. But charging you $600 for it to get this giant markup, not only are they getting their software for free, but they're also charging you for the use of that and also making money off of their business expense. Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered, and I think this is the hoggiest of products I've ever seen. Are you really surprised that it's a dealership? Multiple hundreds of dealerships? Be willing to bet more people just signed their loan documentation and just thought, man, this deal is good enough. All this nonsense they're tossing on there, whatever. Sign the paper, get out the door, drive home, and not realize that this tracker is going to follow them from now until the end of time, until they unplug it. Also, until the next person who gets this vehicle at trade. I saw someone drop a comment saying that they've found these things at auction, which means that if they don't find it, it's also going to the next person. The potential data corruption out of this whole thing is insane. So, whole purpose of this video, go outside, check your vehicles, look at that OBD-II port, drop a comment down below if you find one, drop a comment down below what the brand is and who the dealership was that sold it, because I think the only way to get rid of this kind of nonsense in the market is to call it out for what it is and let people know who is doing it, and more importantly, let people know who is not doing it. That said, thank you guys very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. I will see you guys next time.